After having to part ways with my King Seiko, I wanted to scratch this itch of having another Seiko watch. And I wanted to get something that I could kind of beat around. It could be sporty, had some versatility to it, but had a touch of flair. And I decided to pull the trigger on a Seiko Sarx045. And I've had this thing for about a month now. I've worn it quite a bit. So what do I think of this thing? Let's jump into the review. So the Sarx lineup of watches is rather expansive, and I'm only going to be looking at this Sarx045, but you have a ton of options. Unfortunately, a lot of them are really under the shadow of the Sarbs of the world, the Seiko Sarbs of the world, or the Cocktail Times of the world, and aren't given much consideration. I think a lot of this also contributes to the fact that many of the watches that make up this line are Japanese domestic market watches and aren't considered as frequently or really shown in the face of many enthusiasts, especially based in America. That said, I do think these watches bring something unique to the table for the Seiko lineup of watches. The Seiko Sarx line comes with a case diameter of 39.5 millimeters with a stainless steel case. We're looking at a case thickness of 11.3 millimeters, lug to lug height of 48 millimeters, lug width of 20 millimeters, water resistance of 100 meters, and features a sapphire crystal. I think one of the most notable stories here is despite its 39.5 millimeter case, this watch's lug to lug height is 48 millimeters, which is rather large for a watch under 40 millimeters in case diameter. But again, on my 6¼ inch wrist, I am surprised of how well this fits. When comparing it to another watch that had very similar dimensions in regard to lug height, the Zen 104, a watch that I previously owned, I did struggle with having it fit on my wrist and I got a little bit of overhang. However, as a result of this watch's angular profile and sharper edges of the case design, the lugs work really well and I don't really get any overhang. It does fit quite comfortably. The watch overall has a rather sporty design, with specs to match with the sapphire crystal and the 100 meters of water resistance that holistically is supported through the many details of this watch. One of them being the dial, and that was a huge draw for me in purchasing this watch. And in analyzing this as well as other watches in recent reviews, I'm starting to realize how much weight I put on the overall dial design. But this one is very cool. I hear many people mentioning similarities of this watch to the Omega Aquaterra as an affordable alternative, which I can get given this has a very similar panel blue dial. However, I like how it is a little bit more subdued with the paneling compared to that of the Aquaterra. But I will also say the blue of this watch just looks fantastic. I find myself always being drawn to its color. It really was a big reason again for me purchasing it, and it does have a very deceiving look depending on the amount of light that is being applied to it. I find the bluish pop is really prominent in natural light, and even the bluish black color that is emitted in synthetic light and maybe lower lit areas is still incredibly cool. The dial contrasts incredibly well with the applied Seiko logo and the small Dauphine hands. For me, I like the lack of lume on the hands of this watch as it gives off a slimmer profile to the overall hands. However, given this watch does look a little sporty, I can see some people maybe wanting to demand the lume on the hands. For me, I see it as a positive. I like the slimmer look of the hands, and lume is not something I'm usually actively looking for in a lot of my watches and don't really care for on this watch. I prefer how it looks currently. And just because this watch doesn't have lume, it does have a few other key contributors to the sporty feel that this watch does bring forth. Two of them being the bracelet and the square crown guards on the watch, which I both love. Primarily the bracelet, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is an actual Seiko bracelet that is not completely just mediocre compared to many other Seiko bracelets that I've experienced with the past. In fact, I have actually not taken this thing off the bracelet since owning it, as I think it really adds to the edges of the watch and making it shine quite substantially, and I think it is just better suited on the bracelet. Moving along, the Sarx has an onyx crown, and yeah, I'm indifferent about this one. I actually don't mind the look of the onyx crown styling. It's just more of how much the crown protrudes out of the watch, especially when you're contrasting it to the really just compact crown guards on the watch. I would prefer it to be a little bit smaller because everything else about this watch is just so angular and really sharp on its edges that seeing this very large protrusion with the crown, I don't know necessarily fits the entire design, but I don't really mind the onyx. I think it's a nice little touch to the watch's styling. Moving to the exhibition case back, we have a Hardlex crystal which shows off that Sarx045 movement. And this movement, of course, is not incredibly pretty to look at. It's not decorated, but I think it's cooler than just seeing a plain steel case back, especially if this is going to be a watch, maybe one of your first mechanical pieces, and seeing an actual movement beat is something new to you. Taking a closer look at this movement adds hacking and hand winding to the existing 7S26 base caliber, and then features a solid 50-hour power reserve thanks to an addition of a Sprung hairspring. From an accuracy standpoint, Seiko states that these watches should test -15 to +25 seconds a day. However, I ran a few tests over several days, and mine was running at an impressive +3 to 4 seconds a day on average, which is really fantastic for a watch of this price point. And before I give my verdict, let's go see what Courtney thinks of this watch. Courtney.
What?
I need your opinion on this watch. What do you think of this watch, Courtney?
I love this watch.
You like that watch?
Yes.
Would you recommend people get that watch?
Yes, it's beautiful.
All right, we have girlfriend approval. So now what is my opinion of the Seiko Sarx045? Gotta be honest, guys, I think this thing is fantastic. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I wanted to get a watch that could scratch that Seiko itch, and being a watch that I could wear in many scenarios and not have to worry about. And the best part about this watch is it's different. I don't see many people wearing one of these around, and I always have liked that aspect of being a watch lover. Having something with a little bit more character that you don't see every day. I'm sure I'll end up seeing this on more people's wrists going forward after posting this video, so probably just dug my own grave there, but whatever. I don't really mind if you guys buy watches that I own. I think that's cool. So I'll sum it up as this. If you are somebody that is looking for a watch, maybe you already have some dress watches, maybe you're not really looking for a dress-oriented watch, but just something that screams versatility, has a bit more of a sporty look, has specs to match it with a sapphire crystal, pretty reliable movement, 100 meters of water resistance to cover all the bases, and is pretty affordable under $500. I don't know if you can get a better watch for under $500. And the fact that you don't see it everywhere, I think just adds to this being a really cool option. And I think it's a great watch from Seiko that I wish just got a little bit more love. And hopefully this video will be a start to that. So guys, what do you think of this watch? I really, again, just love this thing. Love to see comments down below as well. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon if you have not already. That's a great way to stay up to date with the content and help out the channel within YouTube's algorithm. Also, if you're looking for a new watch to buy, maybe a new iconic piece that you're looking for, head over to the link in the description. We started a partnership with Bob's Watches. Any purchase on their site helps support the channel as well. And on top of that, you're getting it from an online retailer that's one of the best in the business, one of the largest in the business, and has been doing it for decades. Also, if you want to get the most out of your watch, gotta think about watch straps. Over my website, also have some of the best watch straps in the industry, and any purchase also supports the channel as well and the content that you're watching. And then finally, if you want to join our watch giveaway, fill out the watch giveaway form down below in the description, as well as following me on Instagram. We just gave away our Seiko SRPC 93 this past weekend, so definitely want to stay up to date with that. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.